following on some of the questions from Senator Peters. I know that was a decision many of us worked very hard for over a decade to try and get and couldn't get. And it breaks a lot of China to have our F-15s show up to replace our A-10s. We thank you for that. We're very happy about that decision. But can you commit to making sure it happens on time? We have an issue where we could lose a lot of airmen. If our A-10 pilots and crews go off, they're allowed to go back into normal civilian life, and then years later we get our F-15. So can you commit to doing all the environmental studies, all the pieces that have to go into place in order to have them arrive on time as the president announced?
Yes, Senator. Yeah, and we are working out delay in that plan based on the president's decision. And, as we have more detail, we'll make sure to provide that.
Okay, great. Thank you. The other issue is also related to the Air Force. It's on the issue of PFAS and forever chemicals, particularly at Oscoda, in Oscoda at Wurtsmith Air Force Base. The Air Force does not dispute over the past decade that it was the PFAS from the firefighting foam on the base that contaminated local people's waters, their lakes, right? There are kids that swim in those lakes. There are waters that are drank by an entire community. And last year, the EPA put a scientific standard on how much PFAS you can have on water before it makes you sick. We were thrilled, and the Air Force, to their credit, came into action and said, we'll now begin taking interim measures to clean up PFAS in Oscoda, Michigan, among other places. Last week, the administration reversed that decision and now does not care about the health standards of PFAS in our water. And I'm wondering, will the Air Force continue to take interim measures to clean up the water around Wurtsmith Air Force Base?
So, Senator, I'm not familiar with the decision you referenced, but the department will continue to work to make sure that both our people and the surrounding communities are prioritized, and we will work to clean up and be transparent about it.
Okay, because for a decade, we tried to get the Air Force to move. They wouldn't until last year. And then the EPA standards were again slid backwards, despite this administration's interest in making America healthy again. I guess that doesn't matter when it comes to forever chemicals in our water. So I just ask your help in committing to continuing those interim measures. They're gradual, they're not steep, but we need to hold the Air Force, you have to clean up what you messed up for this community that cannot drink its water, that cannot safely swim in its water. And then lastly, let me just ask, we had a lot of debate and discussion about the gift of the Qatari jet that was given to the president for Air Force One. Has the country of Qatar, General Alvin, submitted a request to buy F-35s, an official request to the Pentagon?
I have not received a request for them to buy F-35s.
Mr. Secretary, are you aware, that's been reported publicly, that they have now submitted recently a request to buy F-35s?
I'm not aware of that, Senator, but I'll take it for the record.
Okay, I think it's important because we just had a 4-star Navy, number 2 of the Navy, convicted yesterday of bribery for a very similar type of thing, pay for play. We give you a gift, we give you an opportunity, you make things happen for us inside the Pentagon. It was embarrassing to have a 4-star admiral convicted in court yesterday, highest ranking in American history. So I just ask, as the president is moving to try and accept a gift of a jet, that we don't do something as stupid and as obvious as pay for play on selling the Qataris F-35. So I'd ask you to very, very rigorously look at that issue. And I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Slotkin. Senator Scott.
Thank you, Chairman. First off, thanks to each of you for your service. Joe Alvin, Secretary Mink, let me first talk about Homestead.